Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the licensing panel meeting today. Just a couple of housekeeping issues. So when I indicate for you to speak, what I need you to do is press this button at the bottom here, and then the microphone will turn on, and then you can speak. And when you've finished, press that button again, and your microphone will go off. Okay, thank you. Also, this meeting's been webcast, so members of the public can see what's happening, what's going on today in this meeting. All right, so we'll begin with a round of introductions, and I'll start with my colleagues there, panel members. So I'll start with Councillor Anwar.
Yeah, Councillor Amar Anwar for Dewsbury West.
Councillor Andrew Marchington.
And then over to my right.
Steve Mycroft, Licensing Officer.
Mike Skelton, Senior Licensing Officer.
And then over to my left.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Ian Rushton. I'm the agent for the application today.
My name is Ako Abdullah.
Thank you. Before we launch into the application as to why we're here today, we'll just quickly go through the agenda items. Okay, so any interest to declare from my colleagues?
No interest.
None.
Admissions of the public, it's been webcast. Any deputations or petitions?
None received.
Public question time?
None received.
Okay, we'll go straight into the application then. So we're here today in respect of an application for the grant of a premises licence in relation to Batley Superstores, situated at 91 Commercial Street, Batley. Can I begin by asking, before I begin by asking the licensing officer to outline the application, I need to ask the participants whether you've received a copy of the licensing procedure, which explains the hearing today, how it will be conducted, and whether you've read and understood that.
Yes, Chair, we have.
And that's the same in respect of the person you're representing today. Fantastic. Right then, can I ask the licensing officer to outline the application?
Chair, the purpose of this report is to inform members of an application for the grant of a premises licence, which as a result of a representation received has been referred to this panel for determination. On the 11th of July 2022, the Licensing Department received an application for the new grant of a premises licence for Batley Superstore Limited, 91 Commercial Street, Batley, WF17 5EF. A copy of the application, plan and location map can be seen at Appendix A. The licensable activities applied for by the applicant are as follows. Sale of alcohol off the premises, Sunday to Thursday, 0700 until 11 p.m, Friday to Saturday, 0700 until midnight. During the consultation period, a representation from one of the councillors from the Batley East Ward has been submitted. The representation that was received considered that the following licensing objectives should not be met should this licence be granted. Prevention of crime and disorder, and prevention of public nuisance. A copy of the representation can be seen at Appendix B. Further to this, Chair, there is also an underlying licence on this premises, which is still active. This is for off sales. The hours for this licence are 10 a.m. till 6:30 p.m, Monday to Saturday. A discussion was held with the applicant's agent to transfer this licence and then apply for variation. This was rejected as the applicant wanted to apply for a new licence. Should the licence be approved today, the underlying licence will be cancelled. Consultation has taken place in accordance with the Act. There have been no other matters arising from the responsible authorities. Having regard to representation, the members need to either grant the application with appropriate conditions, exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities which relate to this application, or reject the application. Members of the panel, you are requested to determine the application. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to questions. So I have one question. I mean, obviously we'll get to hear a little bit more from the applicant about the application, but you were saying that there is already a licence on there from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
That's correct.
I'm assuming in respect of another individual?
It was the previous premises owner, Chair.
Lovely. And is there anything about that the panel need to know or consider?
Not really, Chair. It's live, it's still active. The West Yorkshire Police never raised any concerns around it. Should it have been used? So it's still there.
Thank you. I'll ask my colleagues now if they have any questions. Councillor Anwar?
Yeah, I just want to ask the licensing officers, how many objections have you had from members of the public regarding this application?
We've had one objection from a councillor and none from any members of the public.
Councillor Marchington? Any questions at this stage from the licensing officers? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move over to the applicant then. Can I ask you to outline the application? Is it Mr. Rushton?
Yes, okay, thank you, Chair. I'll try and keep this as short and sweet as I can, but this is a well-established business which has been operating as a general convenience store here for many years. It's a small shop selling a wide range of goods, such as your everyday essentials, bread, milk, snacks, sweets, soft drinks, alcohol, etc. The shop is located in a commercial area, and in the area there's many other different types of shops and businesses, cafes, restaurants nearby. As Steve has alluded to, this is a new application. The shop has held the licence since June 2016, over 6 years now. There's been no problems or complaints that we're aware of. The current licence allows alcohol sales until 6:30 p.m. daily. At the start of the application, my client decided to submit a new licence application rather than a transfer and a variation. It's generally the same procedure and the costs for a new licence application, and it just made sense to start afresh with a new application. The current licence is valid. There's only a couple of licence conditions on that licence, and our application includes a new comprehensive set of licence conditions, which we'll come on to shortly. Alcohol is just a small part of this business. It will be part of the overall convenience offer in the area. It's not a shop that just wants to focus and sell alcohol. It is a general convenience store. It's actually a unique shop in the area because it sells a wide range of different types of goods from different countries. So there's products there from Slovakia, Albania, Asia and Eastern Europe. So it sells a wide range of goods for the whole part of the community. It's a small shop, and if you look at the floor plan as you walk into the shop, there's a sales counter immediately on the right, and spirits will be kept behind the counter, and there would just be a small selection of beers and wines available for customers. Just a little bit about the applicant, Akko. He's invested in this business. He's taken out a lease for 5 years, so he plans on being here in the long term, and he wants to run a good business and be an asset to the local area. He's already improved the shop both internally and externally to make it a better shop, refurbished the shop inside so it looks a lot better than what it was in the past. He has experience. He's worked in licensed convenience stores before, including a shop in the Dewsbury area. He has a personal licence which has been issued by Bradford Council, and he will be the DPS working in the shop on a day-to-day basis, authorising the alcohol sales. Akko has a good, clean record with no issues on file, such as any underage sales or problems with the police. And basically, Chair, we say he has experience and he's a responsible person to run this business. In terms of the application, you've read the report and you've heard from the licensing officer. We have submitted a detailed set of licence conditions to promote the licensing objectives. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them in great detail because they are in your papers today at Appendix A. But just to highlight a couple of those conditions. CCTV, so there's going to be a good quality CCTV inside the shop and covering the area outside. It's a small shop, there's 5 cameras covering the whole of the interior, and there's a camera also covering the area immediately outside the shop. The recordings will be kept available for the police for 31 days, should the police or the other authorities need them. The shop would keep an incident log. We'd use Challenge 25 to prevent any underage sales. Staff training will be provided. We put notices up asking people to leave the shop quietly. We say the conditions are comprehensive and they have been accepted as being comprehensive by all of the authorities. In terms of the objection or the representation, I think firstly, I think it does speak volumes and is significant today that none of the responsible authorities are here today to oppose this application. In particular, the police are crucial. They're your main source of information on crime and disorder, and they're completely satisfied that the application can be granted today. All of the other authorities, such as Trading Standards, the Licensing Authority, Safeguarding and Environmental Health, again, are all completely satisfied with this application. There's also no other objections from the other ward councillors for the area, nor from any local businesses or residents in the area. The objection basically asks you to refuse this application, to deny the application, but we say that's unreasonable today. This shop currently sells alcohol and will continue to sell alcohol responsibly. Any antisocial behaviour in this area can be dealt with through existing powers, and the police, who are your main source of information, are satisfied with the application. We say, Chair, that this shop, it's not going to promote, as is alleged in the representation, a culture of street drinking or large gatherings. And importantly today, there's no evidence at all to back that up or to suggest that. ACO, as a responsible operator with a personal licence, will do everything that he can within his control to prevent any problems from arising. Any people causing antisocial behaviour in this area, it's a matter of individual responsibility, and any shops or licence holders, they can't be blamed or held to account for any general antisocial behaviour in the area. This shop has a good record. It's got a licence already and there's been no issues on file. The shop's also had a couple of temporary alcohol licences, Chair, which have been currently running until today, until 11 p.m. and 12 midnight on Fridays and Saturdays. Again, they've been running fine and there's been no issues or problems with those temporary licence applications. I did try to contact and engage with Councillor Zaman. I sent a couple of emails with some more information, with an invitation to meet us or to talk to us. I've tried to call him all of last week, but unfortunately we didn't get a response, which is disappointing today, Chair. We could have had a good discussion before the hearing today. There's copies of my letter and my emails as supporting information have been sent to the panel today. We've also submitted some examples of the shop's due diligence and the types of records that will be kept in the shop, about staff training and the posters that will be on display, just to show that this shop will be well run with this application granted. We're going to leave it there for now, Chair, and we'll try and answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. I think you've answered a lot of the questions that I had sort of floating around in my mind in terms of experience, your client's experience, in terms of the shop's been running. How long has the shop been running, actually?
The shop's been there, well, the licence has been granted over 6.5 years.
Yeah, but how long has Mr. Abdullah had the shop? Okay,
Mr. Abdullah took over the lease 4 months ago.
So he's been running it and relying on the licence that's already there between 10 a.m. and 6:30 in the evening?
Yeah.
So he's been allowing alcohol to be purchased off-site since then?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So in effect, you're just asking for an extension of time as to what's already there. Yeah. I was also wanting to kind of float the idea about Councillor Zaman, who's raised some important issues. He's obviously the ward councillor there, and he has concerns and the importance of obviously, working with ward councillors. And just to clarify that, just because the other councillors haven't put in an object, doesn't mean that they don't object. It may be that Mr. Zaman is doing that on behalf of his colleagues. So it's important that, we take that into consideration there. Don't think I've got any more questions, really. It was helpful that you put together the information about addressing the licensing conditions and the fact that you've written to Councillor Zaman as well to try and relieve some of his concerns. So that's been really helpful. Okay. But I'll just pass over to my colleagues. Councillor Anwar? Councillor Matcherton?
Yeah. You say there's been a temporary licence operating with the hours that you're asking for today. How long's that been operating, the temporary licence?
Through you, Chair. I know the current temporary licence started last week and finishes at 11 p.m. tonight. And I understand there was a previous temporary licence covering the weekend of the 27th and 28th of August, 8 o'clock till 12 midnight.
So it's just for a short period. So you've got the current temporary licence for a week, but there's not been any noticeable changes to issues in the area?
No, Chair, not through you. The temporary licences have been running well. It gives the shop the flexibility. The midnight licence on Saturdays and Sundays. The shop may not open until that time every weekend, but it gives the business that flexibility to be able to do so.
Licensing officer, any questions?
No, I've got no questions. Thanks, Chair.
All right then. So we have one objection, which is what we've been talking about and referring to today, and it's a letter from Councillor Zaman in respect of this application, and he said, I would move to deny the application based on the following objectives. First of all, the prevention of crime and disorder. There is an existing issue of antisocial behaviour in the town centre, which we have tried to combat for a while now. Another alcohol shop would likely increase the issue rather than reduce it. It would promote a culture of street drinking and large gatherings, which would cause unease for residents and other users within the area. Secondly, he talks about the prevention of public nuisance and relies on this information. He says this is similar as above. So that's what's come through from Councillor Zaman objecting to the application. He's not here to answer any questions. Okay. So we've come to the end, I think, of representations. We haven't got anyone else here from the responsible authorities. So I'd ask everyone to sum up, please. Licensing officer, please.
Thank you, Chair. So today we've got the grant of a new application that's been received. It is for the sale of alcohol from Sunday to Thursday, 0700 till 11 p.m. and Friday to Saturday, 0700 till midnight. There's been one representation by one of the local councillors, and the responsible authorities have not commented at all. That's it. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Would you like to sum up, Mr. Ruston?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Briefly, Chair, this is a well-established business which is being run by a responsible operator today. We ask you to give considerable weight to the fact that none of the responsible authorities who are the experts in their fields, they are all satisfied that this application can be granted today, in particular the police. There are powers to deal with any antisocial behaviour in the area. The word evidence, as we know, Chair, is crucial today. Your decision is based upon the guidance and the case law which explains the importance of evidence. We say that the application is a strong one, that the conditions that we put forward will promote the licensing objectives, and the objective really has to show the opposite, and they should demonstrate that with evidence. With respect to the objective, there's been no evidence provided, and we did try to mediate and engage with the councillor to have a discussion ahead of today, which unfortunately didn't happen. The Licensing Act isn't a mechanism for the control of general antisocial behaviour, and your policy and the guidance confirms that. There is the review procedure if there ever were any problems in the future, which is evidenced, like the same for every licensed premises, then the review procedure is the safety net if anything did happen to go wrong. But we say, Chair, that's unlikely to happen here. Finally, we have put forward a strong set of licence conditions. There's no evidence to say that the objectives will be undermined, and so we ask you to approve the application as applied for today. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, so can I ask everyone to wait outside while we deliberate and make a decision on the application? Thank you. So, panel members have been asked to consider an application for grant of premises licence in respect of Batley Superstore, situated at 91 Commercial Street, Batley. We've heard evidence today in respect of the application, and based on what we've heard, we have taken the decision that there is good reason, sufficient reason to grant the application based on what's been presented today. So just to clarify what that means, we are approving the application of Sunday to Thursday, 700 hours to 2,300 hours, and Friday to Saturday, 700 hours to 2,359 hours. So thank you very much for attending and good luck. Thank you. Morning, everyone. Okay, so we will begin by doing a round of introductions. So my name's Councillor Amanda Pinnock. I'm chair of the panel. Councillor Anwar.
Councillor Amar Anwar, Dewsbury West.
Councillor Andrew Marchington.
Over to my right.
Steve Mycroft, Licensing Officer.
Mike Skelton, Senior Licensing Officer.
Jane Drury.
John Folston.
Thank you. So just to confirm that the hearing today has been webcast, so people can see what's going on. Also, the licensing department will have sent you out some information, a copy of the licensing procedure, which explains about the hearing today. Have you read that and understood it? Have you got any questions? Fantastic. Okay. So, we're here today in respect of an application for the variation of a premises licence in respect of the Woodman Inn, situated at number 6 Hartley Street in Dewsbury. I'll begin by asking the licensing officer to outline the application.
Thank you, Chair. So it was on the 19th of July of this year that the licensing department received an application for the full variation of the premise licences the premise licence from Tadcaster Brewery Limited for the premise known as the Woodman Inn at 6 Hartley Street in Dewsbury. The applicant is requesting that condition 2 set by the licensing panel on the 3rd of March of last year be removed. Full details of the variation application can be seen at Appendix A. In terms of a little bit of history for yourself, Chair, which you may remember the review hearing, so more for your colleagues. In March of 2021, a review of the premise licence was heard by members of the licensing committee as colleagues from West Yorkshire Police called for a review of the premises licence. This review was due to an allegation of a breach of COVID-19 restrictions that were in place at the time, along with concerns of disorder that had taken place at the premise. The outcome of the review hearing was that members agreed to add conditions to the licence that had been proposed to them by West Yorkshire Police. One of those conditions was that the premise will utilise a minimum of 2 door staff to be employed on a Friday and Saturday night from 8 p.m. until all customers have left. The door staff must be supplied by a recognised SIA-approved contractor scheme company, and no door staff no in-house door staff be employed. Door staff must also be employed over bank holiday weekends, as well as Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. The applicant now seeks to have those conditions removed from the licence. Discussions have taken place between the licensee and West Yorkshire Police, and the police are happy for this condition to be removed, as there have been no calls for service since the review hearing. Local ward councillors have also expressed their support of the application. In addition, licensing officers have carried out visits to the premises on several occasions and found that the premise be in full compliance with the conditions requested by the panel. So just to confirm, it was the review application was on the 3rd of March of last year, and members resolved that those conditions be applied to the premises licence. The panel's decision can be seen at Appendix B of this report. And just to confirm, Chair, consultees have been contacted in accordance with the Act. West Yorkshire Police have got no objections to the condition now to be removed. And Environmental Health have reviewed the application. As they have no recent complaints, they have no comments to make in relation to the prevention of public nuisance. Thank you.
So I'll move to questions then. Can I just clarify? So on that day, when the application was originally heard, there were a number of conditions that were approved by the panel at the time. So the application today is just to remove that one condition, which is in relation to 2 minimum door staff.
That's correct,
and the others will remain.
Yeah, all the others remain. It's just the door staff condition.
Thank you. I'll move over to my colleagues. Councillor Anwar? Marchington? No. Any questions of the licensing officer while we're here? No? So over to you then. Is there anything that you'd like to say? Any representations you'd like to make to the panel about wanting to vary, why you want to vary, how things have been going since the last hearing in March?
Just in regard to what's going on, as far as the doorman, on Friday nights when they're here, the two doormen's been here, I don't think we've had more than 8 people in. PC Jagger and Mrs Javid's called a couple of times, found that the pub is quite empty. I think after a full year we thought we'd review it. I mean, this really couldn't go on, you know, forever and a day. And then obviously we need to have these doormen taken off. It isn't, I think we had this little bit of disorder, which we did. You know, you've got to put your hands up to that. But I think 15, we've been in this pub now nearly 19 years, and 15 years prior to that, we had no trouble. So in this period of time, we have a 2-year period. Yes, we did. We had to put our hands up to that. And I think they were quite severe, what we had to do to put 2 doormen on. Like as I explained to PC Jagger when she came out one of the last times, we don't get any younger people in now because obviously 3 years down the line, all these younger people now are of a certain age. So we're an old-fashioned type of pub. You know, we have pool teams, we have ladies' darts and dominoes teams. We certainly don't need doormen on. But I appreciate the fact of what had gone on, that something needed to be put in place. And I think now further down the line, I think that needs taking off. We've had no trouble, touch wood, we've had no trouble. And I think times have changed, things have changed. I just think now that now's the time that we need to sort of start having a look at as finances as well, because we've been very hard hit with after the COVID. Obviously people haven't come back into pubs like they used to do, you know, and everybody was saying, oh, it'll be great because everybody will come back, and they haven't. It's as simple as that, Madam Chair. They haven't come back. So it's been a struggle, and so we thought, right, we'll make a start and let's just see if we can get the doorman taken off as a start. And that's about it. Thank you.
Mr Folston, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, one of the things that's really affected us is having doormen, and obviously the cost to the Tadcaster Pub Company, and in today's climate it just can't sustain it, as Jane has done, and let Mrs Javid and PC Jagger know. She has gone round on a Friday and Saturday night taking videos of the people that are in the pub and using our premises, and really the amount of people that are in, we just cannot sustain the cost, and we just, at the moment, we just do not get a younger generation back in the pub, which we don't need and don't want. But I'd say that the average age from the ladies' darts to my pool team are all of a certain age, and we just cannot, you know, that is the type of pub that we basically run. I know we came across unfortunate times a couple of years ago, and we have gone
Above and beyond, really,
beyond
and making sure
to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And that isn't what our pub is about in the community and in the surrounding areas. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I'll move to my colleagues to see if they've got any questions.
Yeah. I think we appreciate the steps you've taken in that respect. I mean, we would hope that you're going to get busier in the future. So if it did start getting busy again and you felt you needed sort of extra something on the Friday or Saturday nights, do you think you'd be in a position to be proactive about that?
Yeah, I don't think there'd be a problem in that, but it's very difficult at the moment. Like for me, I'd love to invite you all to the pub and have a look, and you'd get the feel of what the pub is about and the area that it's in. You know, until we had this that happened 2 years ago, we had a lot of police coming in the pub because they had their leaving retirement do with the fire station round the corner. They come in, and it's that type of pub. You know, the best way I can probably describe it is a country pub on a back street. You know, that is the type of pub. And people, without seeing and coming into the pub, the amount of people that come in for the first time and say, what a lovely place this is, and it doesn't reflect what has happened in the past over that short period. But we are on top of things. You know, the people that we had in at that time are obviously 2 years older now. They've moved on to other things, and we don't get a younger generation coming down, like as to say, to follow on to them. So that doesn't occur anymore now.
Councillor Anwar? All right, so as you've heard, there's been no objections from West Yorkshire Police, nothing from residents, and actually ward councillors indicate that they're happy to support the variation. So we don't have any additional evidence before us to consider. So we'll move to really closing, summing up. So I'll turn to the licensing officer.
Thank you, Chair. I've just got one question, if I may. The review of the premise licence that took place in 2021 was called for by the police, and obviously the police, they don't call for a review willy-nilly. There's got to be a very valid reason as to why that review was called. You could say that these problems have gone away because you've had these door staff. So how confident are you that these problems will not come back if you remove the door staff from your premise?
As for the door staff on a Friday night, the panel put things in place where we had to inform the police, local authorities, if they refused entry or had to get anybody out of the pub. And in that time, that has not happened at all. From the period we've set the door staff on up till this weekend, they haven't had to come in under any circumstances to, you know, to say we're refusing people a drink or to throw anybody out. And, you know, they're there to check people's ID. But when it's like people of our age that are coming in, obviously they're not checking their ID, and it just doesn't exist for them, for the door staff to do. It's like we're paying them, and they're not actually having to work for it, you know, to stop people and challenge them, like the Challenge 21 policy that we've got. If we had a challenge at 61, maybe, but at 21, it just isn't happening, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you very much.
For the good of it, like, you know.
Okay, thank you. That's it from me, Chair. Thanks.
All right, would you like to sum up?
Sure. So we've got an application in, Chair, for a full variation to remove some conditions that were set by the panel. Mr Fullstone and his partner have put across how they think the pub will be run and what they're going to do to mitigate any future issues that may arise. So it's over to yourselves to decide whether you want to remove those conditions that you wanted back in March of last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Would you like to sum up? No, you think you've covered everything? Fantastic. Okay. So we need an opportunity to consider what we've heard today. So could I ask everyone to leave the room so we can discuss it and make a decision? Thank you. All right, so the panel have been asked this morning to consider an application for variation of a premises licence in respect to the Woodman Inn, situated at 6 Hartley Street. The panel have made the decision, after listening to the evidence and the information presented to us, that it's sufficient in the circumstances to grant the variation. And the variation relates to condition 2 that was imposed at a panel hearing back on the 3rd of March 2021. And just to elucidate, we have agreed to remove the condition of a minimum of 2 door staff employed, and it was specifically for Fridays, Saturdays, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So that's now been removed. I wish you all the best of luck with your business. Okay, and take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Right, I'll close the meeting. Thank you.